welcome back. We are now reconvening our hearing from yesterday. Just have apologies when Bruce Drew here. So we'd like to thanks Sarah Jane, Secretary Kayla, always a good place to go. Thanks, Gary. Is there any additional business? So we will now head into our operations. Two. We'll move into this work. Share screen.
So if you would just draw the same document or screen in front of us.
So we're going to put up the grants. So that if you refer to
I've got the same one.
the collated.
Yeah, like the multi-year grant.
Yes, that's what we're discussing now. We're actually deliberating to make a decision. So we have a budget we previously funded 565,750 last year, this current year. Our proposal in the long-term plan was to hold that amount. With the applications we've received, it's oversubscribed by about 300,000 per year, not more, so it was 300,000 this year. So we need to work through and deliberate. So there, as an approach to this, would you like to perhaps flag the ones that you need more information, please?
I would like more information on Hamilton-Waikato tourism, Matamata Chamber of Commerce, perhaps a discussion for the Morrinsville Chamber of Commerce as well. The Morrinsville Art Gallery.
Can I just ask what sort of information you're asking about? So it's not me like doubling up on what you're thinking. Like what specifically?
Further discussion with staff on the costs and background and what some options may be. That's all ones I can see.
Sarah Jane, have you got
Sport Waikato and Creative Waikato? More information on those. The United Matamata Sport, was it sport?
Yes.
Yeah. We already touched on both of the chambers and Campbell Park. I just want to make sure that Campbell Park, that it's consistent, with the United Matamata. Yeah.
Has anybody else got any others to add? I'm interested in the Ngāti Tumutumu application or the work to be done up in the domain as to how that might be achieved. Some operational questions around the operational side. Sorry?
Tomorrow.
Can you put your motion, please?
The tomorrow.
You want to add that one in for information?
Yeah.
Okay. So some of these hopefully we'll be able to address today. So is there anything specific, a question that you want to ask about them? I think like with Tone tomorrow, do you have a specific question to ask?
Just basically a little bit more about what's involved and like what they actually want to run.
So Sandra, they applied funding, they can go back to our communities.
13, I think.
Just what's in their application. So it's for their Matariki Festival. I guess an option is that now that you have rolled your events grant into your single year grant going forward, that's potentially an option other than the multi-year grant funding. But the information we've got is what's in your grant application for that Matariki Festival.
Yeah, sorry, it was just in my notes here that I said here they applied for 7K for the actual cultural purpose, and they'd also asked for 5K for the Rose Community Trust for the same thing. So I don't know, that they have a positive outcome from that as well.
And of course, I'm highlighting also that because we're so oversubscribed and we're planning to hold, at what point are we increasing and what point are we holding?
and update you on our natural cultural built heritage grant. So they applied for some funding for re-roofing their marae, which is a Wahitapu site, and we have granted them some funding, so it wasn't the full $7,000, but they've been advised of that.
Thank you.
I was wondering whether if we can go through, like, because there's a couple in here that, you know, Ngāti Tuatua being one, that it's like, you know, I think that they're doing a really great job there and they're not asking for a lot of money. But if saying we're going to hold doesn't give us the opportunity to help someone like that, I would rather go through these and like just pick out a couple that everybody feels like are ones that we could look at. So for the most part, we are holding.
Yeah.
But potentially these are the couple, and it might be another 50 grand on that we have to pick up from ratepayers or something, whatever it might be. But it's only a fraction of a percent to do that if they make a good case.
Yeah, so the case with the 5,000 for Ngāti Tuatua is what's the better end of understanding council around what that 5,000 pays for. So this is where there's some work to be done in the background, potentially, if that's the way we go. So yes, we've got some listed already. James, have you got?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Like, I agree with that in principle, except that we agreed to hold the total amount,
Yes.
not the individual amounts. So, you know,
It's a pool.
what Sports Waikato has asked for, I don't know. I certainly didn't take it as a commitment that we were holding on their funding. We were holding on the total pool. And I guess Sports Waikato is an interesting one for me in conjunction with Creative Waikato, because what really resonated yesterday was when the CEO indicated that the funding they were requesting was essentially modelling what Sports Waikato does, in the sense that they operate in the same space, in the same area. So for me, I think, you know, the Sports Waikato discussion sort of needs to be linked with the Waikato, sort of Creative Waikato discussion, because in a sense the rationale for both of those is the same. So I hear where you're coming from, Dane, but it was I sort of see it as a fixed pool of money rather than the fixed per person.
Right.
Having said that, I'm sure there are some things that we could easily agree on up front.
Yeah.
But I think it's more at the level of not necessarily new ones, but just ones on that entire list where we're comfortable, rather than the pre-existing.
Rolling over.
Good. It's a good conversation here because we've got a set platform here that we can move forward.
And just touching on that, with the Sport Waikato and the Creative Waikato, I'd like to understand what they're funding in our area as well. You know, because there is, I don't want to say double dipping because I don't think that's a fair term. But you know, say if they're giving Campbell Park X amount of money, we're also giving them. Sorry, it's like Sport Waikato.
They don't give money to.
They get nothing.
No, I'm just using it as an example.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sport Waikato is probably not the best example, but or Creative Waikato, whichever. I'm just as an example of what they're funding within our area, and in terms of what we're also funding.
Yes, so I think it was in the Sport Waikato, it's a bit around the resource for that person to liaise with council staff. And that's where one of the challenges we have with Creative is we don't have the dedicated staff member to.
Yes, the Sport Waikato also, I mean, if I can, in terms of cheering and betterment, sports state, they're very strong advocates for that funding, for external funding, and I agree with the utility.
Okay.
They offer incredible value to us.
So we'll put those ones aside, and perhaps we do go through from the top around where we're heading, and with the, considering they're all applying for more, there's very few that have applied for the same.
Where's that document, Steph?
This is something that we've pulled from your collated one.
Yeah, so just look at your collated one, just go to your collated one and we'll
It's probably the same, it's basically the same as the hearing schedule.
so the collated document, the front page of the collated
I
document.
make my own thing.
So also just on the Matamata changes, they made it very clear that they'll continue with the eyesight for 1 more year.
Yeah, so that's why we're leaving.
Yeah, no, I know. I just saw a note there. No, so yeah.
So I think the table of contents with the collated one is a guide for us to work from our devices. Have you all got that?
Yeah.
I'm just going to send them mine. Really open if you want it. You can.
Because the table of contents is in the order of what we've got there. So we've got Morrisville, we'll start from the top end. So we've got Morrisville Community Patrol, currently 3,000, wanting 4,000.
Yes.
So what are you saying? Yes to what?
4,000.
So you're increasing grants?
3.
This is what I, like, this is the challenge.
Yes, I know we do.
Okay, so we're going for, okay,
I know we-
is there an agreement to propose for?
The issue I would have is if we increase that one, there's two others you have to increase as well.
Yes, and they're all going for 4, yes.
I'm in the position that we've agreed in some sort of discussion be as fair as we can. And I just wonder if it's more sensible if we hold as much funding as possible, because our pool is limited, and what was it, every $100,000 we give is 0.31% in the rates increase. So it's kind of like, I think maybe we should hold as best we can, and I'm quite happy to hold 3,000 from Wellington Community Patrol and apply that to the others as well.
Should we just say we're okay to fund them something?
And then go back?
And go back.
Yeah, yes, and why don't you just
How much we
yes to fund them, let's go back to the, yeah.
So what do we know? What do you want to do?
So if you want to go down, and then once you've got to down the hole, we'll go back, review the ones you want to adjust.
Okay. So are we going to go with the majority wanting to go to 4, they'll increase it 1,000? Is that what you want? No, just hold, we agree to fund. Okay, so Morrisville Community Patrol, you're agreeing to fund. Morrisville Community House. Anyone?
Yes.
Is there a, yeah?
Hold it there.
Yeah, let's hold that.
Hold that.
That's-
Shiaraha Croquet Club.
Yes.
This may be one we need more information on.
Yes, I'd like to know if they got anything through the grants, because we did some grants with the Matamata one last year, didn't we, James and Caleb? So,
They
yeah.
have through the single year grant.
They've received grants just about every 6 months, as it is.
And
And that's where yeah.
if you look in the notes from yesterday, there was Mark notes, I can't remember.
Yeah.
We don't have the budget to maintain the greens to the same standard that you maintain. And I mean, in my view, it is an asset that we're able to use basically for.
So we'll throw that in with the other ones for more information.
Well,
As to what level?
I did have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something for you, Sandra, is have they received grants from outside of the council for this work, or have they, if they made it known if they've got other sources of funding? Because it'd be interesting to know if they've done that already.
They do also get funding from the Diprose Miller, or they have, sorry. I'm not going to say it's regular or anything, but I'm just going from their last single year community grant. So there was the Diprose Miller Sports Waikato. They were denied from Sports Waikato, and that was for their school tournament they hold. But it is heavily reliable on sponsorship.
Okay, so we'll put that we're willing to support, and we will
Question mark
next to it.
Yeah, and my question similar to Caleb's thoughts, I think, but that last year this work, whatever it was, $40,000 or something for the lawn maintenance. And so this year they're seeking 10,000 from us, from a different source. So what's happened to their funding from last year, which means they're $10,000 short?
I think what it is to move them from going into our single year grants to give them a commitment for the 3 years. So they'd forego their funding potentially out of the single year grants if we were to support them with the long term team grant. I think the question here is as to what level we fund it, and this is where what council does. Do they provide them with a turf report? What support do they provide? That's what I want to know. So
We do, or put it to
yes, which is come in. And so therefore, what is it that we are willing to support them with? Because there's volunteers all across this community everywhere doing a heap of work, and it's how we support them. Right, so we'll keep that one in at this point. Matamata Community Patrol. No. just leave it.
I think they go with the other ones.
And so that one will go, yeah, with this. with the
It
other
it
ones.
really should be the police giving them this money, but I guess
Well,
do what you can for the community.
yeah. So we're holding there. Tom Grant Drive is 1,800, 2,000. I think 1,800 is.
Absolutely.
The Matamata Community Resource Trust.
Same as last year.
Everyone happy to support that. Right. Campbell Park Charitable Trust. Now you've had questions, Sarah Jane. What was your?
Just, yeah, I'm just trying to think, just, yeah, I'm just thinking,
Okay. What does it pay for, or is it?
yeah, and is it also consistent with the United Matamata?
Right, okay. Oh, that's all right.
Because Council Moses, doesn't Council
Yeah.
Moses?
Yes.
Yes,
They pay rates.
So-
I think the key point here with these privately owned facilities are they pay rates. They look like a council facility. They behave like a council facility, but they're privately owned. And the burden on the owners is not equitable with the burden on clubs that are located on council land. It's probably the best way to describe it.
It's not fair with them compared to.
And like fair and equal are very totally different things, but it's just that disparity that they pay rates, but they don't, because it's quarters of private.
Same as last year.
With Campbell Park,
Same as last year.
happy to sit there with that, guys.
Yep.
Okay, we're parking Morrisville Chamber of Commerce at this stage.
Yep.
With our service level. Keep Matamata beautiful. Hold it too.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Well, but
Future Tiaraho.
No,
So is there a hold at 6, or are people wanting to increase that funding?
no.
it's for me.
I'm sure they do a very good job.
They do a great job. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've got one that wants to decrease, but I guess we've funded them for $6,000 the last 3 years, and
Let's just hold. I find it. That's the best course of action.
Yeah. At this point in time,
I mean, I guess I don't have a particular view on future Taurua, but I do just want to note that,
what we're paying for.
more that in my view, everything here is starting from scratch. So having been funded previously, there shouldn't be any, and from my perspective, there's no expectation that that involves funding moving forward, because otherwise people are always coming on and never going off. So I don't have a particular view on future Tiaroa, but just because we funded them 6K previously, for me, isn't the immediate thing of there should be zero expectation for anyone that they funded 6K moving forward.
It's really a social service that they're providing, and I sort of wondered about that, but 6 or 5, I don't.
Okay, so I'll put a question mark next to that one to revisit. Tiaroa BMX.
Yes, for me, I just wondered whether we couldn't offer them NPDC expertise rather than money. Same, I guess.
Because I had another question around what council does in that space.
Yes.
So again, it's review that.
I think this was also one of the few applications that actually brings money into the town. When they hold their big meeting, they have people here town for a couple of nights. The serious ones, because it's a national qualifying meeting, they actually come up and race prior to that, so they get to know the track. It's
Right.
pretty critical for their points and national rankings. So I think we need to look at that as well.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can help them out with getting their loan instead of giving them cash? That sounds like that was one of the biggest expenses.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of getting the loan for a length cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would we get it at a lesser cost though?
No. So I think the key point here is that we put it as in principle, we're interested in funding, but we need to discuss further, because I think we need to be more clear around our questions to staff around the operational support that may not be available.
I was just wondering on this one whether we could potentially put them on to maybe it's the second year grant, if there's one for now to help with that stuff, rather than committing to 3 years and having it come out of the same pool.
Good question. We can raise that quickly next to that one. Tiara College
No.
with the $300 for prize giving. So you're going to withdraw from all the schools with the prize giving. Mr. Jagan.
Just want to think what that covers actually, if it actually goes. There are.
Was it just your cup of tea fund?
It's scholarships, prizes, awards towards annual prize giving.
I think well, haven't been gone from that place for too long, but the memory's going pretty good. I mean, our college ducks is funded by the Rotary Club. I think the Proximate Kesset is funded by council. I think that's where the money goes. That's done every year. I think it'd be quite harsh to remove that support for a very deserving student in all three colleges.
So it goes to one student.
Goes to one student for their recognise their achievements during the year.
I guess then if we're going to fund Te Araha College at $300, that's then only keep Matamata College just funding at $300.
Yeah. And Morrison College.
What about the intermediate and the primary schools?
At that point.
And we've also got Kura and Narua, but they haven't applied. So this is and they can come to me as from the Merrill Fund anyway.
Could,
Might be a better way to do it.
I was going to say,
But the thing is, if it's annual, this is why it gets slotted in.
could the
Lawrence or?
the college,
Like,
could they be funded from the Merrill Fund? An appetite for that?
Use some regulation.
I guess the thing is, the Merrill Fund isn't designed to do regular grants, even if it is annually.
Adrian, did they ask you to go to the prize giving?
Yes.
So that's kind of nice if it comes from the Merrill Fund, but it comes from them here.
It's never been
Yeah,
available.
but it does. I mean, it was so, I mean, they asked the top dog to go to all three prize givings. I mean, it's you know, I did Tiara last year, but I mean, RSI from shaking about 1 million heads, but it was quite nice. It's quite nice to have that involvement with the kids.
Yeah.
I think it's a connection with the.
It's a connection with the schools, a connection with the community. And we're talking $900 over the three schools. I don't think this is something we need to debate here in a long time, to be honest.
And if the Narua, because it's secondary school, to me, is the intervention, because I think we need to show some consistency here across our secondary schools in our district. And
And Morrisville College was the late one, wasn't it?
yeah, it's a later. Yep. So we'll keep the three, we'll just work our way through, but add Te Araha and Matamata will stay at 3. Now we've got Keep Te Araha Beautiful holding at 3. They're applying for 3. I guess the thing there is the work they do working with other groups.
They do amazing work with like the enviro schools as well.
Yeah, they're doing some really cool.
Yep. And then we've got Life Education Trust.
No.
I think we did.
We
You can do whatever you like, to be honest. Well, not you, but
Me personally,
I'm giving you a lot of there's some of the history of that. I mean, I think we used to fund them at 5, and we had done that since it was a cowboy. And I believe it was the last long-term plan that we put them up and kind of. But again, that's kind of the background of the history of it. Again, you know, it's what the worth of it in the district it is. So no, I mean, you know, it's democracy at work. I mean, it's you know, is it worthwhile in our district? Are we wanting to hold that funding? Are you wanting to decrease that funding? But
Has anybody got any other views? Hold or to decrease?
So just I mean, I do absolutely see the value of it. I remember Harold straight from new entrant to intermediate. I did the whole thing. It was great. But I am aware that it is very heavily supported already, you know, with donations from the community. So I wonder if we can decrease it.
I think in this case, it is a case of when we give them a grant for 3 years, it gives them certainty as a base funding. This is the thing with a lot of these organisations in our community, is that by giving them a grant for 3 years does give them base funding, so then they've got the space to work from. And if you look at what Hauraki gives, as well as Thames Coromandel, we were always a bit on the lean side, weren't we?
We were, and that's why we increased it, the last LTP. Doesn't mean to say that it's that of same, so everything's open for.
I mean, my thought is 10.
Actually, it must have been reading my mind, Councillor Vaughan, because I grew up with Harold as well.
Harold and Tammy in the brain.
Yeah, and that was a really useful program for a kid like me who was struggling in school. And I see its benefit. I just am very conscious of how austere things are out there for everyone. And as much as I'd love to give them all the money they could ever need, I think $10,000 a year for 3 years is quite good. I know it's not as much as we'd want to give them, but we haven't got much to give this time round. So thank you for reading my mind, Councillor Vaughan. Please stop it.
Dave.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking 10 grand as well. I think for me, like the little things that are in our areas, they aren't as big as these types of things. So they have, a much smaller pool to fund themselves from. So I would rather be seeing, the little groups in Te Araha and Matamata that are doing things in there, keep their money, rather than guys that are potentially, have a bigger pool to go out and pull money from for this sort of thing. So I'm comfortable with 10 as well.
Peter.
I'm not comfortable with it. I think we sit here and we just, sounds like 10 will be okay. I'll be based there and I've got no idea. I base my thoughts on the number of our residents who benefit from the service. So if we're going to fund $15,000 towards this, and I guess that there are several thousand primary age children in our district, and they're going to have visits from Harold, several times over their primary school life. To me, that's quite good value for money. And I'm very happy to stick with the $15,000.
Yeah, I think that's the key point is the number of schools in our district. There's actually quite more schools than what you realise, and they do come to do it every year. So
I don't want to quote Cameron Bakery the other morning, but investing in education is going to be beneficial in the next 10 to 30 years' time. And if we can help kids with education, which seems to be a problem these days, I'm like it.
And this is around their health and well-being.
And it does help the whole district.
So yeah, I'm sort of leaning with Peter, to be honest. But it's a democracy, so if hands up if you want 10,000.
I say less because at some point we've got a fixed pool of money, so it has to come out of something.
Yeah, correct.
So that's why I'm saying 10.
That's right.
Disagree with
so people the rest of you are happy with 15? Hands up, yes. Okay. We'll go back, like we can.
So happy to say we're going to fund them, and let's get to the end and go back and figure out how much we need to trim somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, so Matamata College,
300.
Yeah, Matamata Chamber of Commerce, we're holding Noriko. The museum, so we've got, this is to help fund their part-time administrator.
Did some analysis very broadly on that, comparing museums. Matamata and Te Arawa both on 17.5. That's what they got last year, and Morans was 20. And if you look at what they have in the bank, they usually stay in full. And I do believe that Morans will have some very good plans for the future, so I'm happy with 20 constant for them. But I think the other museum, 17.5, Matamata, for example, has a lot of investments.
And I guess the challenge here is we have 3 very different museums. Morrisville's museum is private, like they own it, it's not on council property. Te Araha's is on domain, Matamata's is on third. They have totally different offerings, so it's very hard to
It would be same as last year.
Yep. And because it's volunteers and supporting the history, and this is part of our as part of our core business is to support the history and culture of our community. So are you happy to hold Te Araha at 17?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Health Waikato tourism, is there some conversation there to be had?
Yep.
This sort of, for me, it's conditional on what other councils do. So that's we'll come back to that. Te Aroha Community Patrol,
3.
hold them.
Are you holding, we're holding, that means we're holding on the lower line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I'd like to see them go.
Yeah,
I
me too,
would
because
too,
of petrol
absolutely.
and all
Yeah.
of that. They do a really good job.
I guess
Come
again, though, again, are we providing just a core funding that they then seek funds from other areas?
Yeah, I know, but they're protecting our ratepayers.
Yeah, that's-
And that's,
That's
what
they
it's
do-
all
they-
about.
So we've got
They do
question mark
wonderful
to 3 to 4.
yeah,
Okay.
I know Murrayfield Lions is helping with
Yeah.
them.
yeah, they all need support more than we give them.
Okay.
But they all do different things
do.
though as well, like Matamata does
Mm.
a heck of a lot more than Te Aroha, and they do 2 days a week,
Correct.
you know. So, we have to take that sort of thing into consideration. I guess, I get that.
Okay, Tony from Marae. I know there's conversation. I think they potentially we should look at other avenues there for their funding.
Yeah.
And also from our events point of view, are we planning on doing anything at all this year? Because there's could be a bit of crossover.
Yeah, so we can talk about that in the content further on, perhaps that we look at that. Morrisville Historical Society, NWL 20 to support their development. Yep. Centennial Drive Committee at Matamata hold 1500 hold. There was some question around Sport Waikato and what it paid for. So the difference between the 59 and 50 is the 59 included 9,000 on the regional plan. Active implementation. And so the 50 now is having the resource to who's currently Rock Porkle, who covers Matamata, Thames,
I was going to say, I'd like to understand also what the other 2 councils are contributing.
Probably the same on wages.
I'd like to hold.
I'd like to hold on 50.
Yeah, so find out what the other ones are contributing.
There's a
and
conversation.
Creative Waikato as well.
Yeah, and I'm fully supportive of Sports Waikato, but just understanding why the council is comfortable holding it at 50
Yes.
and making sure that we apply that same rationale to Creative Waikato would be my request, or I think what we would need to do.
Yeah, it's the lens we're looking through.
In fairness, James, it was only Dr. Jeremy from Creative Waikato that wanted to align themselves with what I don't see any alignment whatsoever at all.
So anyway, we can discuss that later.
Come back.
Sport Waikato is now. Yeah. Okay. Citizens Advice Bureau.
Same as last year.
And it was 6. There's a typo in our previous paper with the 10. It's 6. The Manaki Kainai Trust for the eradication of goats. Okay. So I guess what's our reasoning behind that is that we are oversubscribed and
Like the doctors, yes,
Absolutely.
Also, they've got a lot of support from Ngāti Tumu, and I also saw in their package that they've got lots of other volunteer hours and things that are coming on board. So I don't think they need our support. I like the idea; it's a great idea. Potential for more industry in Te Aroha, but I just wonder, from us, and they can go through the appropriate government avenues for that.
okay, now Waikato Screen, do you want to park that one?
It's difficult.
It's again,
So where was it? It says currently funded out by a separate grant. What grant was that?
So they did not apply at the time of the last long-term plan. They came up to us maybe 6 months into your 3-year cycle. So what council decided at that stage is to fund the requested $7,866 from our other grant pool. So basically you have your draft budget, which we as a team manage by sending out. So if potentially you don't spend some of the money, if a grant goes out of existence, for example, which we do have from time to time, then that extra money is allocated to them. So I guess it just came out of your extra grant pool. So it's your same amount of money, and some of it doesn't get spent. For example, your natural cultural built heritage grant comes out of that funding. So if that one's underspent, the other one's overspent slightly, then it balances out.
I'd like to understand what other councils are funding them, because I know that a couple of them will be dropping their funding.
Yeah, and I guess this is conditional on
yes.
what other councils do.
And, it's all fine and well to say that, promote the films and that they've that have come to our area, have they actually facilitated them coming here? Because I know with the Gone, they didn't. They had their own location scouts.
They do have their own locations.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. Yeah.
So question mark next to that one. Creative Waikato will, in that longer conversation. But the Matamata Historical Society is 12,000 that they get.
I was only trying to balance
Yeah.
them out. That's
They get the gate fees.
12.
It's the,
So
that's
go
the
back
thing,
to
yeah.
12.
Well,
They do have some funds
Yeah.
available to themselves as well.
CAB and Tiaraha.
I have a few more on that one.
Oh, which on
Other CAB for
Yeah.
Tiaraha. Just to bear in mind, they're going for what they're going for, but they also said that they cover Morrinsville.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do we fall in alignment with Matamata what they're asking, or do we just?
They've applied for 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been very unusual to say he's 10.
Yes, 6. Yeah.
They've applied for 4.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
we
get what you're
we
saying.
should.
Or
It's a
the
question
other-
that we can ask in future is how many come from how many calls they take from Morrinsville, because Matamata may also take some from Morrinsville as well. Yeah. And of course, there's the other organisation that we support as well that may venture into that space as well, the community. As a connection for locals, not necessarily so much in the CAB space, but as a connect, as always. But yeah, hear what you're saying though. If it's 2 towns, but they've applied for 4.
But meaning the other way around with Matamata. Go.
I've given him
Good.
4.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yes,
falling in alignment.
So the question would be why can Te Arawa get by with 4?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Might be size change, it might be size.
So that is that
Yeah.
fair, Sharon? Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. We're needing to be really
So we can make a note. You can bring that up later. Okay. The next one, number 30 is United Matamata Sports with Big Park. So who was the infamous? I can't talk.
Consistency.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, I know we're trying to hold, but I mean, Camel Park's getting 6, and I would be upset that Bedford Park was treated the same.
Yeah.
So they're
But-
the same.
Do have a few questions though, given the comments that were made, that we mow the park, provide line marking in an annual turf report. And yet the funding they're seeking is for a turf report. So,
No, it's not for a 2.
oh, for,
yeah. So
You can provide clarity. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so for clarity, the TURP report is, the council provides a TURP report.
Yeah.
So they don't need to pay a consultant to provide. the
Oh, is
TURP
that what it
report.
was? Okay.
The TURP report provides for regrassing, irrigation, fertiliser, spray,
Okay. So,
and
Is it-
what it costs to do it.
so in this email it says, I'm aware KBS provides this advice, so no need to budget for 1,200 as per their application. So that's where I got confused.
Yeah, that was just what Todd has come back to you with. If you read the UMS application.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
wouldn't be paying for a consultant.
Okay.
But there's the other stuff, the
Yes.
fertiliser and stuff. Yes, Peter.
So I want to get it this way. Down here in Te Araha, if you play, football or rugby, you play on Boyd Park, council owned, council maintained. I've got no idea what those organisations pay the council to get that service for them. But it must cost council, the ratepayers, a lot to provide Boyd Park in Te Araha. The way I see it is that in Matamata and Morrinsville, some organisation historically probably had this bit of dirt that they make available to community groups to use. And we don't seem to support them to an awful lot of money compared to the amount we must spend on Boyd Park to provide the same service in Te Araha. I'm a bit sympathetic towards these two groups, and I wonder if we should perhaps fund it to our responsibilities. I mean,
If there once upon a time, they probably made a lot of money over the bar and could afford to do
Yeah.
this stuff.
Well, yes and no. The bar is for the clubs, it's rather than the grounds.
Okay.
it just seems a bit of unfairness
So
here.
they're quite different. And I hear what you're saying, Peter, but there's also, I mean, if I use Camel Park as an example, I think it was my first term of council maybe, council redid the car park. Yes, across Camel Park had no money to do that. And so we have over the years tried to probably have an MOU that lives and breathes a little bit better with those groups in terms of trying to maintain those, because I think what you did before, Adrian, was right. I mean, for all intents and purposes, people from outside just see them as a council run area. And it's only really the locals that know differently, and you know, these things are just historic. I don't know how Big Park got its thing, but I know Campbell Park did all its fundraising in the 50s, and I think 1958 is when it opened. So different times, different ways things have fallen into place, and it's just trying to, like I say, just trying to support the groups, keeping them going, to be honest, because they are. I mean, you know, Campbell Park, I can't imagine the grandstand getting replaced, you know, for example. I mean, that's, you know, these are the things, scoreboards and all those other things that are just time after time. I think the changing rooms haven't changed since I came to Rugby, which was a long time ago too.
I think the parks changed under the grandstand. Yeah, consistency, that's all I
Yeah.
feel like a bit there. Yeah. I mean, they do provide a great public service. The grounds are available for a short load of events as well, and I mean truck festivals and all sorts of things, so that they maintain the turf after that's gone as well. So yeah, so any sort of help with consistency.
So 6.5 in line with Campbell Park.
I'll give
That's
Campbell
sort of
Park
option.
6 was holding.
That being put down, any
Put
other?
it in, we can talk about it.
Yeah. Will be anyway.
Yeah.
Ngāti Tumu Trust.
I was impressed.
It's not
I was very impressed.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, the challenge that we must do though is we need to have an MOU. There needs to be some frameworks around what it's buying. It is important, I agree, it is important to maintain. They've started maintaining with the Jobs for Nature work up there, and I do agree the view that to stop and not do anything, then they've wasted their time, because we all know that invasive weeds keep coming back. So in some form we do need to support, but we need perhaps understand a little bit more from an operational perspective what that
We
might
can
look
do
like.
that job for $5.
Exactly.
No,
we've got it.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're right, you go.
Sandra, question for you. You love questions, I know. SNA, what have we got? And would that fit that umbrella, and what do we have under that? Sorry, significant natural areas.
So if Steph scrolls down her little spreadsheet there, what we've also got for you at the bottom there is the remainder of what makes up your various grants. Some of them sit within the same pool. Obviously, the mayoral grant fits within a different pool. But what we've got here is all of your total grant money that is a similar budget or the same budget from previous years. So you'll see there in your natural cultural built heritage grant, which includes your significant natural areas, is currently got a budget of 45,000. So this is again very similar to the grants that you've got. It's what you've popped into your draft budget. That is not final at the moment. So council can have a discussion about those 4 groups down the bottom if you wish, but that's where the funding is for those significant natural areas. But it's funds all 4 groups that we used to have separate grants for. So it's significant natural features, protected trees, heritage buildings, and resource consents for your community groups. So it funds all of those.
And is it always spent, Sandra?
Currently, it is always pretty close by the end of the financial year. But if you remember, we're currently funding the 20,000 for Piako catchment from that, which we'll get to very shortly.
Because I'm very supportive of what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. But I was just saying if it
Can it go in there?
pop out of another pool. I also wonder, sorry, just looking at just while my friends on, I'm just saying that the 40, our single year community grants. I don't know if this is is this the economic time to say that maybe that 40K comes a year?
Absolutely.
Can we forego that process for this LTP? I'm going to get in trouble. But no, I mean, but that's we've got a lot of worthy things here that we can't fund if we're trying to hold, and would that 40 make a significant difference to the community patrols and some of the others? And just a question.
Or are we then cutting off the people that might just want to have a bit of a helping hand?
Yeah.
And we would be, I know.
Anyway, dealing with Ngāti Tumu Trust and what they're doing on the Bonga, I think it's important that we definitely do have that MOU. Because, you know, what we've seen in the past is these smaller groups doing great work and then it just fizzling out. And it would be terrible for that to happen. And so, you know, we do have an understanding of what it is actually going towards here.
Well, and it's working with the other groups too.
Yes, exactly.
That do.
Yeah.
I'm very supportive.
I can just give you some reassurance around that. So anything that gets granted by council through a multi-year grant, the staff sit down and work out this is your partnership agreement with us. This is what you're agreeing to do. So each year they send us an accountability report. This is what we spent the money on, and these are the photos of the projects that we've done. So we get all of that before we pay out the following year's fund. So if it's ones like that, we would be sending it to obviously the parks team to comment on to make sure that they're happy with the work that gets done. So that does certainly get done at an operational level afterwards for all of these grants.
So my question is, has the trust got funding from other sources that's enabled to start this work? And if so, what's happened to that funding?
So the Jobs for Nature was a government initiative, and it was the previous government's initiative, and it's ending on the 30th of June. So that avenue of funding, and I don't know what they got, what funding they could receive for that work, but I feel it is our reserves, it's our responsibility, and they've made a start. We need to keep it going.
It's a community group that is doing work that council should perhaps be doing.
But probably cost us more than five.
Cost us more.
Would definitely cost us more.
I just going to make the point that I mean, we could clarify with the group exactly what they're prepared to do for five, because we don't know at this stage. And the only query I'd have is, and this might be applicable to a number, I mean, there's no guarantee that by us agreeing to five, that provides them with a sustainable situation.
I won't.
Just don't know.
Yeah, that gives them a chance to see.
Well, yeah, what they've asked for five, so presumably they've got any plans to do otherwise, and as Sandra said, we've got accountability processes around it. But I imagine, I mean, without being, without doubting them, I mean, the question is, well, what will we get for $5,000?
Okay.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, so the accountability processes are very reassuring.
Yes.
To see that. I guess just sort of picking up on that, the natural features grant versus these multi-year ones. And I was thinking about the jostling between them, because the significant natural features is a one-off for a year and they need to reapply type scenario, isn't it?
Correct.
Yes, so it is project based.
Yeah, so I guess the difference, so that's the difference between this top part offers them certainty for 3 years and everything that they can deliver, whereas, so I guess what I am certainly open to and interested in talking about further is when we go through is essentially acknowledging that a couple of the projects in the multi-year grant are aligned with what we're trying to achieve with the so reducing that and shifting it to another space, because there is the big plus of this top one is that certainty over 3 years, and I guess it helps with the accountability.
And we could reduce.
Yes, essentially by 25k to cover Piako, Waihao Catchment Forum, and Matamata-Piako Trust.
Yeah, we may, and it'll be interesting to see if there's more demand on that funding pool over the coming years, but we'll address that perhaps in the next option.
I guess just adding to that, and so yes, the risk is that if we do shift things out of those project-based grants into this multi-year one, that we will potentially run out of money, and that's a risk, and that good projects may come up in those 2 years. That's an unknown to a certain degree, whereas if we don't fund some of these things that are potentially going to be operating for 3 years, the likelihood that they're going to fall over is perhaps even greater. So yes, acknowledge that we may be causing maybe some unforeseen things, but there's a discussion for downstream.
And just to add to that, past years it hasn't been oversubscribed with the 20,000 from going to the forum.
So we've always spent pretty much exactly the budget. It's always worked out for at least the past 5 years really, really well.
Yeah. Cool. Russell, do you want
Just
to?
looking at the Matamata-Piako one, it's got the description to contribute to the project, so they must be having funding from elsewhere. It's not the $5,000 to cover the cost, it's a contribution only.
Good, Russell.
So just to clarify further to the guy asked yesterday, whether we had a plan of attack for the, for the work that's been done. And we did actually have a restoration plan for Yarra prior to the jobs for nature work happening. So there was a framework, and this could be revised in light of the work done by Jobs for Nature. So, in other words, we could capture the outcomes we're looking for by revising that plan, and then sit down and say, well, what is it the Tumu are doing that we're contributing the $5 million in the context of that plan? What is it we're trying to achieve over what area? And clarify that as part of that process.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the Timero Mountain Bike Club.
Same as last year.
Everyone's looking to hold.
For what we give them and what we get out of it. And you cannot drive down Waterworks Road on a Saturday afternoon. No. I mean, it's a squeeze. So it's such good value for money.
Yeah, I guess the point there is you can't drive down it because it's people from outside the area that are going there.
Yeah.
And
never mind, it's been.
I mean, it would be great if Waipa would also contribute.
And they do. They have given funding to the group. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they've had funding from Waipa in the past.
And it was, that certainly helped us get the road service as well.
Okay, and then we've got the Piako Catherine Trust. Yes.
Can we pull that out, Sandra? Because I've got a running total. Can we pull that council's for?
Yeah. We can take it out of the 45.
And the Tumu one as well. I can slip that.
So we could, well, they stay in there, but you change the grant.
Changing my column.
Yeah.
So we add another 25 to the all of the multi-year grant and reduce the significant.
And now I'm down to just about the same as last year.
45.
What have we?
Yeah.
So just go back to that Timmy one, you're going to take it from another grant, we've decided that, or
That's potentially what we'll look at doing.
potentially what we're going to look at, we haven't decided that.
No, well, we'll review.
Here I am. So
We're
that's last year.
We're pretty much,
We're supportive of
we're pretty
that.
supportive of
We're
that.
all that money comes.
And if you agree that we reduce that fund, like James just described it, it's currently 45. The Piako Forum is currently funded out of it. We add Tumu in there. So it gets transferred to the long-term plan grants, and that heritage fund then will be 20,000. It will be reduced as a result.
And the benefit of that is that it provides certainty for those two organisations.
Yeah, so we are supportive of it. I think they're a beauty there. That's all.
I can just give a further update for your natural cultural built heritage grant. So if that goes down to your 20,000, please bear in mind already 5,000 out of that 20,000 goes towards rates remissions for previous significant natural features. So it's actually 15,000 approximately you would have to give away, which has got to cover all of your community group resource consents as well. So that's absolutely fine. I just thought I'd put that in there that 5,000 is kind of currently already allocated.
So yeah, and so I know that we've fully used the grant previously, including the 20K that's paid for. So it's been about 15,000 to cover the community group resource applications in the past. Yeah, so it's like tight, but like
Well,
pushing the bone. Yeah.
and I guess the thing is, it wasn't that long ago. I think we had an increase.
When it was a different setup, we didn't use that because it was a
Okay, and then the last one we've got is the Morrinsville Art Gallery.
Yeah, the increase.
I'm inclined just to sit at 30.
I would be too. And I think maybe it's time they started looking at charging.
And closing in their hours.
Oh, okay. No.
Again,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
stop reading my
So,
notes.
yeah.
I was wondering when they came and presented to us before the hearing session last week, they came, they gave out $97,000 worth of tickets and value and free entry to the museum. And I just wonder if they put a $2 entry fee on every person that came in, they could very easily fund themselves on their visitor basis. But I would say $30,000 because they can raise the money themselves. It just said that they don't want to charge.
I think traditionally art galleries do. You can look at.
I just wonder, sorry, just in terms of, and I agree with that obviously, but I just wonder historically, I know things have moved on. I wonder when James Wallace donated like his collection. I'm not sure whether that was MOU with him back then, like don't charge people to come in the door. Don't know. It's clearly not called that. It's called the Warrensville Gallery now, so I guess they can run to their own tune. So, but I think rather than just saying, "Can you give us something if you want?" I think that collecting a couple of dollars might be significant to them. I mean, it's not much to wander through the Historical Society's just done that now, and I don't think there's any feedback or negative feedback from that. You don't expect to go anywhere and go through for free. I mean, we went through the Arrowtown one in October, and it was really good, excellent, and that was something I might have been $20. But
Yeah, $20. My wife and I went through.
yeah, so I think so. You would expect it.
Exhibition.
Yeah. I guess the key thing is the 50,000 is a supportive amount, and they are their exhibitions that are booked up for the year. So it's not like
It's a great thing.
not creating a vibe. So yeah, like good on them for.
Adrian, I
we
think-
can't.
I think they, sorry, Dane,
Yeah.
I think they made a pitch that they very much, benefit the community, the Matamata community, the Morrinsville community. So I'm sure the Morrinsville community, it's tough for them as well, but they might find support there.
It's always been a contentious one.
Yes, it is. I mean, look,
You're either into art or you aren't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing around the sports and the arts as well. It's that weighing up of trying to balance
So
the.
same as last year.
And not only that, though, I think that if you were to look at anything even approaching what they're doing, they're already one of the higher grants. If they're getting that much, and why the museum's only getting 17,500 and 20,000, it's just, I think it opens a can of worms to give them a whole lot more money. But realistically, they're already getting the most out of any of that type of thing that's in the area anyway.
Okay.
I just had a question on the grants there. If we're going to shuffle the money around in the natural cultural built heritage grant to make that work, if we're concerned that that's now going to come up a little bit short, like does our single year grants have to stay at 40? Can we pinch 5 out of there and stick it in rather than it all coming out of one? And I mean, this year we have one person apply for grants in this round from Morrinsville, so I guess put the money where it's most likely to be
And then
used if we get to.
Is there a risk? Like I don't know. Sandra,
Again, it's council's call, just a reminder that we haven't added any additional money in here. So in the current year, it's 30,000 for single year, 10,000 for your mural grant, and 20,000 for your events grant, which is always spent.
Did we move grants?
Yes, so we took the 20,000 out of the events and we added 10,000 to your single year grants and 10,000 for your mural grant. And the theory behind the mural grant was that the single year grants were still twice a year, whereas if we had somebody come in between that couldn't make a funding round, potentially could go to that mural fund. So that's just a reminder of those discussions.
So those college ones could be pulled out of there and put into the mural because that kind of fits.
no, because this isn't one.
Yeah.
This isn't a locked in long term.
Yeah.
So shouldn't college be one off?
No, that annual.
Yeah.
I think we need to be seen to be supporting and be present in our schools.
And it's only $900, I think.
It's not a significant amount of money. Wherever we take it from, but it's regular. It's not.
Go by the yellow one, Kim.
Yeah,
Right.
council, just go with the yellow council.
Yes, correct. So it balances out. That sort of negates that 25.
I'm at 656.
Sandra, just to clarify, the budget, is that over 3 years or just per year?
It's year one.
565.
Yeah.
That's 1 year.
Like, okay, no, I'm just making sure I've got those right here. So you want to keep that money?
Fusion. And then of course we've got some significant ones there that we have.
Well over.
It's the big ones that we've got to
What have you got
discuss.
these guys?
Well, we haven't
No, I was
committed.
just looking at the number, but.
Well, it's only at 232. But
Oh, okay.
it's the big ones that we.
Sorry, I can't see that.
So have the likes of the chambers, tourism,
Yeah,
they've
so
been
No, they haven't been added.
I haven't
Yes,
added.
and this is the thing is that if you're wanting to give more in grants, you're pulling the lever on rates.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to reduce people's rates in grants to support others, then we have the right to do that. And we're holding a number, and that's why with the community patrols, I just feel we just need to hold them at this stage.
Yeah,
I know they're doing more, but we aren't in a position like that
okay, it's $1,000, so we take $1,000 off for Morrinsville.
Well, it's Morrinsville, Matamata and Tiara.
3,000.
Yeah, and that pays Timu's.
Yeah, but they're coming out of different.
No, they're coming into this fund, so should we? But yeah, there's a balance there. You're right, it does.
Yeah.
So should we go back to the top and look at the ones that we've agreed to fund in some way, and just have a good see if we can settle on the amount?
Correct.
Can we just, what's our total? At what total are we at now? And what?
Well, what we've
what we
agreed to is 358,000 is what we've agreed to.
So we've agreed to 232 and you have 358.
Remaining, right.
Of that 4 year.
Yeah. Given that there will be 2 eyesights that will be at least 125
Yeah, I mean,
each, so add 250 onto that, and we've got 100 left. We've got 100 left to spend out of all the rest. So
I haven't pulled.
okay, so we'll go to the top, and we'll just break down again. So go right to the top. So we've got the Tiara Croquet Club. We're still seeking more information on that one around the turf maintenance and what we can do.
Would like to make a decision.
You'd like to make a decision?
My decision, personally, we fund them.
What, the full 10 grand? I don't agree.
I think 5.
I think 5 as well.
Peter?
I mean, if they didn't do that work, well, the council have to do the work.
They would have a cut. They would have a cut.
It's a
It would just be lawn.
Just be lawn, wouldn't it? So in my mind, if we fund up $10,000 so they can play croquet, how much per head is that? That's a lot. 100 people, $100 a head we're sponsoring those people too.
That's right.
And school tournaments.
Yeah, well, that's,
well, it's the other activities on the domain that are held on there, like the home.
But they would still be
Marketing,
here. They would still be held there regardless of croquet.
And they do use a building for peppercorn rent. They've got there are benefits of being there. It's not like they're on private. They would stand alone.
And I mean, yeah, you're not getting the other croquet clubs coming with us.
Yeah, but they come in a different direction.
and another question is, do they maintain more than they need to? Just double up the time they play on a lawn rather than have twice as many lawns.
I guess you've got to keep them maintained. If you don't, because for tournaments, that's the old story, isn't it? You have the whole thing maintained regardless.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point, Peter. And I think to put it in context, I guess like, okay, if they didn't do it, yes, council would take it over. The council would mow it, just mow it. That's it. So to my mind, if we're covering the cost of council just having to mow it, anything over and above them, that's on them for choosing to do it. So, you know, it's $5,000. It's not that big a bit of grass, but it's $5,000 a year enough to just run a lawnmower over it once a week. I don't know, but it's probably not far off.
And the only other thing that I know is they do golf croquet as well, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a growing market.
Yeah,
They're
that's right.
flocking to it. So yeah.
And it's lovely to see the domain used, I think is the thing. But it's not every day of the week. You know.
Okay, so what if we split the difference and went 7-5?
We'll just sit at 5 for now.
5's fine.
We'll 5 for now, and we'll carry on down. Chamber of Commerce, Morrinsville. So they're just seeking 10. What more information do you need?
I don't need any more information, but I know that while they've got a great year for fireworks, they're fine.
Yeah. And then there will be the year that it blows.
They have got a great
And it isn't like, I think from their report, it was pretty clear that they are subsidising the service.
I did look at the wage cost, so perhaps the split was just a bit.
And whether they're hours, but then that's going to make a huge amount. So do you want to go to 130 or 135?
I'd like to up them, but can I hold my,
Can we come back?
Yes.
can we just flip them? Some of them?
They certainly make a compelling case.
They do, and they do a very good job.
Also than the other one, yeah.
They also get, they get grant funding for the fireworks too, don't they?
Yeah, that's a separate thing because it's the eyesight. We're just looking purely at the eyesight.
It isn't because the income from the fireworks still props up the eyesight. So I mean, it's not.
But is it our service level agreement, isn't it, for us to provide them with some funding to sustain the eyesight? Should this is the debate, is should the Chamber of Commerce be having fundraisers that props up the eyesight?
Have we got out the service agreements? I know we looked at them earlier. Yeah.
Because does the Moranbah one include?
If we did the same,
Yeah.
if we kept the service agreements to just running an eyesight, that's fine. You've also got to remember that they are not actually paying for the registration for eyesight anymore, or sending anyone to conference anymore. So that would be a good 5K, 10, close to 10K difference. So I'd love to give them 1 through 5 because I think they're doing a damn good job. So I would like to put a hold on that extra 10 as to whether we can,
Because my question that I made note of yesterday was with the service agreement. Was there the agreement that they would do the Christmas parade
Yeah, we have to.
and that as well?
Yeah, I believe.
And yet hasn't one of them come to us with funding in the past for the Christmas?
They come to an event. So have we still got the events? No.
I suppose another way of thinking about it is, what do you want from the organisation? What is it that you're purchasing? Right.
And it's eyesight service.
That's all we want.
And related to Don's question, do we expect anything more if we fund more than what we currently get?
We all know costs have gone up.
I think we get into cans of worms if we start to want to fund. I think we need to be clear that we're funding an eyesight as we are funding Te Aroha. It's got to be apples to apples, right? And Te Aroha don't do a Christmas parade. They don't do anything. They are purely an eyesight, and that's what we're funding. So we have a clear level where we are.
The question I had too with Warren's for one, they own their building, yeah. I mean, council, they own.
Yes.
Yeah, so they pay for R&M and all that with us, and obviously what do you say? Sorry, I mean, better I put it something else. With the Matamata one, I've just noted yesterday, I didn't really, that Pop didn't pay for the R&M and upkeep of that building.
Outside.
Yeah, the outside, sure, which still must be a significant. And I know it's different. It's harder to maintain that than the.
That's why it's really good that Hobbiton are maintaining that.
Correct. Yeah. So I guess Warren's will have to fund that kind of extra stuff.
That fund's internal.
So what I'm thinking here is we'll come back. We want to know what it would cost if we took out this because we can adjourn and seek information. So let's just get some information out. So the first thing we want to look at is the service level agreements for our chambers. If we just make it eyesight only, no Christmas parades, no events, if we could have that info, that would make a huge difference to what our grants might look like. Okay, what do you want with who have we got next? The BMX, Te Aroha BMX, what information do you want for us to be able to
Can we just put in 125 for now for those ones so we can get to a number at the bottom and see
but have these questions, but also
just 10K if question.
Yeah. Okay. Te Aroha BMX.
I take Russ's point. They do. Oops, that's not looking. That they do bring in. Oh, yes, that they do bring in money into town, which I think is something that we really need to factor in when we make a decision around it. So
would you offer them a couple of thousand just as a start for two?
Yeah, I'd like to offer them something.
I'd like to offer them
2.5. Let's go meet them in the middle. 2.5.
Right. Well, this is just for year one. We're not looking at the other years at this stage.
2.5.
We'll throw it in. Is there any further information you require from the staff as to what council does to support? Okay. But if we get to the bottom and decide that our rates we've gone way over and we're having an impact.
Do we have to? I mean, I get the certainty thing, but do we have to fund them from this one? Could they not come in and go, oh, we've got the things coming up in and
So encourage them to go to the single year grants.
single year grants and
I think it's more the certainty though as well.
I don't know.
Is it?
I think if you get one and you're doing a good job and it's kind of set a little bit of a precedent, I think, you know, because there's the opportunity where you could give them $5,000 if it's 2 months out to have them put the lime on the tree.
How often do they put the lime on?
Once a year. But this is a bit like the Croquet Club, it's a maintenance thing, and they've got to maintain the tracks, just like the Croquet Club's got to maintain the,
How long does it take for them to do the maintenance on the track?
Well, also they're maintaining it to the BMX New Zealand standard.
continuous. They maintain it as continuous.
So I guess the interesting thing there is that we're making a contribution towards the maintenance of the track, and does the council help keep the surrounds tidy? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
I would like to know that.
Yeah.
Because if they're doing everything.
But in terms of, just in terms of the lime stuff, you know, in terms of BMX, because they said yesterday that it's, you know, obviously they've got to get it from
Equity.
Yeah, and which so cost of transport is the big one there. How much do they count back? Do they count back just what they need at that time, and do they fill up their track and trailer? And are they able to store stuff? So i.e. cut back on the transport.
I have seen piles of it, but whether that's to be used over a period of time, I don't know.
And if you get lime too wet.
Okay, we've got lots of time. So
My little baby concern here is that we could fund this group and the only beneficiaries are the BMX people. You know, if you fund the Croquet Club, the beneficiaries are the croquet players plus everybody else
it's open to the community.
who uses those fields. And the other concern I have is, do we have a Minesville BMX club or a Matamata BMX club?
Right.
I know there's five, but
Matamata did have, there was a site that's on.
and the other site, if we take the go-kart people as a comparison, a bigger comparison, we've never funded them. They support their own activity themselves.
But our fences up to lock the public out.
We didn't apply.
You can't
Correct.
We can't, yeah.
If I could just throw one more in, a family that plays together stays together. It's an old terminology in BMXing, and statistically, there's not many families that stay together, but in BMXing, because it's open to all kids, including mum, dad. If you go to the national event, you probably see mum, dad, and 3 or 4 kids just riding.
Yeah. Okay, so we're throwing in 2.5.
Yeah.
And we're just getting clarity around what council provides.
But they could also count
But they
back
could go back to
single
single grants,
grants.
single year grants.
Yes, I'd like to see.
Sandra?
On that note, so what you've got in your policy that's applicable from 1 July onwards is that we don't do double dipping. So you can't apply for your multi-year
Yeah, that's
grant,
what I mean.
but you can apply for your multi-year grant for your track maintenance. And if they held a special event and needed some support for that, they could apply for that, but they couldn't come along and apply for track maintenance because you're already funding some track maintenance.
Okay, so in some respects, $1,000 a year would help pay for track maintenance. And what are we paying for here?
Well, that's so
How
that, I
much
think
is
that's what we
lime?
need to understand.
It's
And I
not
think
expensive.
what-
Lime is one of your cheap.
what we can do as well, you know, with maintenance. If it's spraying or whatever.
They were talking something like 90, I think, but I think 180, but that would include the transport.
They did say 180 a ton.
It'd be delivered presumably.
Yeah, it would be delivered.
And I looked into it, it's about 200 a ton when you add delivery. Because it's such a specific grade of lime.
Yeah.
It's got to
Yeah.
be specific.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's got to be gritty, it's got to be.
And if you have the wrong kind of lime, the track will just turn into a hard pack and then it's unusable from then on. So that's why I went 2.5, because if they're buying 5 to 6 tons a year, potentially, it's going to add up very quickly, you know. And they are bringing, as Russell has pointed out, quite a lot of business to the community.
Well, you see, the interesting thing there is when you go to other clubs like netball, they've just resurfaced here without council support. You know, plenty of clubs are around, council doesn't pay for this. So I think we are starting to set little precedents for ourselves around creating expectations.
How do people do that? Did they
Outside funding.
outside what kind of
Sponsorship and outside funding. Council did not provide anything to Tiana's upgrade that they've recently contributed. So again, this is, and I know it's a scale of people and all that sort of thing, but again, we're getting quite drilled into individual groups and what other
I'd like to get
organisations do.
2.5 single year grant.
So not going to the long term, they need to apply.
Yeah.
For one off.
They could go for 5. They've got a big.
Oh, if it's a single year grant, they can apply for,
Yeah, so if we give them 2.5
Single year grant.
single year grant.
so take them out of the.
So we were recommending, well, we're not gonna, we can't say give them 2.5
No.
single year
They have
grant.
to apply.
They have to apply, so we'll decline their application. Is this what you're saying, that we're gonna decline their application for oversubscribed, but we recommend the single year grant?
Yep.
So
You happy with that?
And what's the rationale for that?
I'm not sure that I support that.
Okay.
No, that's all right, you go, James.
Well, I guess what's the rationale for that? Is this because of the precedent concerns?
No, I'm
I'm
just
just asking.
I'm just hearing what, I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out here for discussion. It's not my view. I'm just asking you what you're thinking.
So, I mean, I guess should Campbell Park and Arms apply for single year grants? And Merritt? And Merritt?
Well, they could also, but then there's no money left in the single year grant, so there's only.
When there's no guarantee they'll get it.
No, and there's,
Yeah, but I mean-
and the budget's gone.
But I guess, I guess I'm putting I can't see much of a
Okay.
difference between Tiara BMX and Miro
Right.
and Campbell Park and
Single
the
year
other
grant,
places.
yeah.
So,
I'm taking single year grant.
So we're making a contribution, a light contribution or a full contribution to the,
I think 2.5.
like, the fascinating thing here is when you start comparing different facilities, is you're comparing an apple with a pear, and 5,000 or 6,000 to a rugby field that has hundreds of people using it, compared to a BMX group that may have hundreds using it on a different basis. You know, like, I'm just throwing out there, I'm not giving a view, I'm just trying to make sure that the decision we're making today is well informed, that we're not just scattergunning money everywhere because people have applied for it. And knowing that we've got a huge rates problem here because we're all going, yes, 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 we want to fund, and I know, but we've got to cut these other ones, and which ones are we cutting, and where are we going to land?
We'll see.
Okay, so 2.5, you wanting to put in there for now? See our hands up for 2.5?
2.5 multi
Yeah, it's got to be.
or not?
Yep, okay, 2.5.
What's the other option? The hands
So
up.
we'll just set more information from staff around what we contribute. Okay, Hamilton Waikato Tourism, Matamata Chamber of Commerce. It's got to come back to that one.
so I guess perhaps like Dave suggested before, if we put in
Just
1.25.
125.
starting point.
And see.
Yeah, question.
Good idea.
Start.
Okay, now we go Hamilton Waikato Tourism.
We're just put in.
We've got to put in something. So the view here, I understand there's a lot of councils looking to reduce by 10 or 20%.
I don't know.
That was I don't know the figures. I know with some have increased with the CPI over the years. We've not increased the CPI over the years. RTOs are definitely something that are going to be around for a while, whereas our eyesights mightn't be.
Or the other way around. Trust me, it's gone before.
So those councils who reduce their funding,
They're talking about it, they haven't decided, we're all in this process.
what's their rationale, what's their reasons for talking about reducing their funding?
They're trying to cut
They're trying to
rates,
cut costs.
trying to cut costs.
Hamilton Fund, I believe, quite the Hamilton Waikato Tourism to the tune of about 500.
Yeah.
So, and Hamilton is probably not the one that's actually receiving the benefits.
I mean, in my mind, the reason we fund this organisation is because the district gets a service provided.
Yes, and the point is, we don't have a staff member doing this role.
Correct.
I'd like to throw a number on the table of 125.
Can we say that? Can we leave that one blank for now and see where we end up at the bottom as to what's left in the budget?
I'll
and
chuck
everything else?
125 in there first. It just gives us a guide.
So they come under the umbrella of regional airport, correct?
But they're not, they are.
No, but just an idea. Could we perhaps reinvest our dividend from the airport into Waikato tourism?
It's never a guarantee though.
I understand, yeah, I understand it's not.
Yeah, we're not guaranteed. I think
but-
that's, yeah, like it's, in principle, it's a good idea, but it's, are we guaranteed what our dividend is?
No, we're not. The question I have about, if other, if other councils are cutting funding, which they may be, because we're all having these discussions, what's the critical mass with?
Yes,
We're getting funded X at the moment from the pool, and if we take 25 out and boom, 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 and the pool becomes Y, then do we lose the likes of the Nicholas and I mean, what's the critical mass that they need to actually function? Because there's no point us giving 125 if the critical mass now says that it doesn't function. Whereas if we had 150 and it functioned and it produced the service for us, so again, it's awkward if we all say, "Oh, what are the other councils doing?" Because we just might be ending up funding something that's hopeless because they don't have the critical mass to actually do the job.
So that, and the risk sits there anyway.
That logic should also apply to Te Waka then, as well then.
Oh yeah, yes, 100%.
We had a discussion with a tourism provider, which I think is the thing that has to be not just us talking about, but speaking to somebody who deals with tourism Waikato. They say they are critical to the industry. However, there's ways and means of rejigging your business. And I don't believe that tourism Waikato would fall if they had 50% of their current funding. I could be wrong, but it would appear that they may just not be able to do some stuff. And that is the same as us, I guess, and this is what we're doing now. Some things just can't be done. And that's just life at the moment, unfortunately. So, but they are critical to the
I think.
And South Waikato pulled out a few years ago. Hauraki and Tim's Coromandel had their own RTO. I think Waipa had increased with CPI over time, and that's, I'm picking that others had, whereas we've resisted. So we would have been sitting up higher if we'd gone with the CPI. Like I'm loath to cut.
I just want to know, and I wonder if we get this number from Nicola, is at what point, and I think the airport has said, we'd have to look at their sustainability. At what point do they become unsustainable? And do we want to be funding something that is unsustainable? It's a great organization. We just need to know.
And this is, we're caught at the moment. And my thing was that we would grant an amount conditional on what the council's proposing. Andrew, you've got something to add? Just come up to the microphone, Andrew.
Discussions with Hamilton Waikato Tourism, they have worked out a worst case scenario based on what the councils are proposing. And Councillor Whiting is right, they would not fold. What they probably need to do is remove, rather than doing bits and pieces, removing a clear portion of their business. So it might be an international piano focus on this. So they have a plan, but would mean they lose half their staff. And they would cut their service back.
And what's the number on that?
I don't have that. That's a bit unique.
It's not a big, and it's still in the air because of all the councillors and what decisions they're at. Okay, we'll just leave it at 125 for now.
Thank you.
Okay, we've said no to the Tangata Marae. We've said single year grant. Then, okay, and that's a no. And Waikato Screen, I'd be inclined to just go 7,000 or something.
I'd say no.
You're going to say no?
I'd like something in there.
I'd say 5.
Say no, but offer a letter of support.
It's a hard one. But like the thing is where's the value of the opportunities that come from it?
Well, and that's another thing, when it comes to extras for filming, crew, and that they are sourced. They don't do that. They are sourced from, like the Bay of Plenty film, whatever the heck they call thing, Waikato film group, who are a charity. So
Producers and scouts do all of that, even.
yes, correct.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is when you're looking for potential sites, if a film crew, if there was a interest, I guess the question I pose is, and given that the Gone came before Spring Waikato had any influence, is that if a film crew or a producer came to New Zealand looking for a site, who would they come to at Matamata-Piako to, or who would they go to find a site in our district?
We're going to helicopter to Spot Farm. But they're going to have a council. They're not going to go and start Googling for people to.
They talk to Rachel.
They did talk to Rachel initially.
Yeah,
We you know, Rachel's role, we don't have a Rachel.
they used to come to the eyesights, yeah.
Yeah, the eyesights.
Waikato Regional Council wasn't their major funder? And
the Regional Council was tied in with it too, eh?
They're cutting their funding.
They're cutting.
They helped back, didn't
they sort of did a big chunk.
That's right. So
Give them $3,000, grand from each town.
So where are we? Like the thing is, it's like we talked about before.
I'm at 5. I'm at cutting it.
Come on. Okay, hands up for 5. 3, hands up for cutting. On the fence, yeah, it's a hard one. We'll chuck in 0 now. Yeah. Like we said about the Gone, is that have we seen an influx of tourists?
No, because they're scared. They're scared of Gone.
The Gone, in reality, if you read
it was a hit here,
reviews in Ireland, it was a flop.
Yeah, it didn't really reach the. Okay, Creative Waikato. So, and this is the thing is that we have with Creative Waikato. I hear what you're saying, James, about around this increasing it. How do we support our creative communities at the moment? We've got quite a few organisations that operate in our communities, and we have the creative grant.
Okay.
It's just come back to us.
The creative grant we get funded from Creative New Zealand. So we get in August each year a formal, this is how much you've got to spend in your district. I've had no indication that that's reducing, but
How much?
The changes every year and it's based on population. So this year and the previous couple of years have been about 36,000. And this year we had a top up for festivals, and the previous year we had a top up for COVID, so it equaled about 45,000 for the past couple of years.
I think the challenge we have with the 30,000 is that they need to have someone dedicated in the office to work with to perhaps achieve more, and we don't have that capability.
And I'm sorry, but I've been to Creative Waikato. Even you came as well, I think. And we had a good wander around, and that's when Caitlin was very for creative. But we didn't, I don't see them, there's nothing being done in town. If that money that we get goes to people that have events or creative stuff.
Very shortly after that, they actually ran a community support for artists scenario. And paid bands and what have you to perform in public on the streets, whatever. So yeah, they did. And well, we played in Matamata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess the thing is if we give 5, what does that 5 pay? What does it pay for?
Yeah. I mean, I think I argued this 3 years ago, but you know, why are we emphasising so much on sport?
Yeah.
And not emphasising as much on the arts and culture when music, arts, creative stuff is stimulating mentally. It helps with depression and all that sort of thing. It's a wellness thing as well as encouraging. And they do bring a new emphasis, I guess, and bring things into our area, which I mean that the young fellow that said here from the
James from Future,
they were supporting him.
So I guess is that what our 5 currently pays for? You know, is to get that support.
Yeah, but I'm sure they would love to do more, you know, and.
I guess what does that look like?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the challenge we have is where do we start and where do we stop?
If we put the 5 in, where's our figure?
Are they, what else, who, other than regional council, who else is
The rest of
funding
the councils.
and how much? That might be helpful.
Depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very comfortable that we have our own cultural budget of 40-something thousand to spend on specifics. I'm very that way inclined.
That does depend on someone applying for it. These people are an overall advocacy group like Sport Waikato.
And that's the thing. Some kids just are not into sport. They're more creative. That's cool. But it would be nice to understand what that $30,000 would actually be going towards.
It's very high level.
Yeah. More effective.
I just find it quite wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's just within
It's
the.
because you're a sporty person.
Presentation, it was great. There were a lot of words, but there was no real guts of what it's going towards.
Yeah. Yeah, what does it pay?
I think it's just fortuitous funding, which is fair enough.
And are they funding future Te Aroha? That's where I was trying to go earlier, but I just
What support do they provide? Yeah, see, we don't know much about them, do we? They've come and spoken, but we don't really know.
So, I mean, I guess those are all good questions. If they offered something that aligned strongly with Sports Waikato in terms of what Sports Waikato is delivering for 50K, would people feel more comfortable? If we had an understanding of what how they were supporting the Rotorua-based one, would people feel more comfortable with funding up to 50K? So if that's what's holding people back, let's get the information to take down those barriers. But if that's actually not what's holding people back, and even if we get answers that people are happy with, still no appetite to fund, let's not waste anybody's time.
Yeah, correct. So is there any appetite to fund?
No, I'm not a sporty spice, but I see Sport Waikato everywhere I go. They are very, very supportive. They were supportive of the full roof. They were supportive of the sport. They do an awful lot of work.
And they've got 50K to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And that's
But
just
it's not only that, it's also with Rob working with clubs around their sustainability and what their plans are for the future and facilitating that as well. It's not just our strategic assets, it's actually the clubs and organisations that feed off it.
It sort of feels like the chicken or the egg, yeah. And the impression that I got is if we don't fund them, there's no chicken to lay the egg. And it's kind of like, well.
But we're not in a position to throw 30,000 at it, are we?
No.
So 5,000, and we'll just
and
understand.
probably no more.
Okay, and then we have.
I know you are.
Should we have a vote on that?
Surely, yeah.
Should we have a vote, just to be clear?
Okay, so 5,000 for creative communities.
So you're saying
Fives?
Five.
Fives?
Five.
2, 4, 6, 10.
Oh, sorry, no, I don't know. We're going higher, so I'll go.
Okay, so we're going 10.
I don't know what our options are.
Okay, we'll put in 10.
This is how you ended up getting that silly back.
Okay, our total.
What?
Our total now.
Yeah.
Andrew, can I put that 10? I would like to see an MOU on that as well. I mean, I'm not giving them 10 to sit and have.
It's 10.
I want to know what that's useful.
Yeah. So have we, that's the total, we've gone through everything and put some money in, but we've left Matamata Chamber at 125 and Morrinsville, and we've reduced Hamilton Waikato Tourism by 25. Yep. Are we not?
It's a little bit tricky, the old tourism one, because to me, we currently fund 150 grand for service X. And you know, that's our share of their total, you know, funding, sorry, with all the councils around the place. And for me, it's tricky because if we continue funding 150 grand, but the total funding drops by 20 or 30%, then are we still going to get the same service? Obviously not. So I just wonder if us dropping it is going to start the ball rolling of a drop from everybody else as well. I mean, and how do we decide 125 from 150?
Yeah, exactly.
It was just
And this is the thing, this is where we don't have a real rationale around what we're paying for and what it means. the thing that I was sort of thinking of is that we hold, but it's conditional on what funding is available, but we've gone out 125, so where are we?
So we funded that, we're funding that, and I've added that 25 into
Yeah, so what does that tell us?
6.3. I've got 6.25.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Can you go through them and tell us what numbers we put in?
All the red ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, because they can't see.
We can't make sure we're just.
Okay, so for number one is 3,000.
Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah.
5,000 for the Tech Pro Club, 3,000 Community Patrol, 1,800 for Shongrant Drive, 5,000 for the Community Resource Trust, Campbell Park 6, Morrisville Chamber of Commerce 25.
125.
Yeah, 125, sorry. Keep Matamata Beautiful 2, Future Tiara 6, Tiara BMX 2.5, Tiara College 300, Keep Tiara Beautiful 3,000, Life Education Trust 15,000, Matamata College 300, Matamata Chamber of Commerce 125, and that's going to be reviewed. Tiara District Museum 17,500, Waikato Tourism 125, Community Patrol 3,000, Tiara Financial Trust 0, Morrisville Historical Society 20,000, Matamata Centennial Drive 1,500, Sport Waikato 50,000, Citizens Advice 6,000, Matamata, Manaki, Mamaki Trust 0, goes. Waikato Screen with cut 0, Creative Waikato 10,000, Matamata Historical Society 12,000, Citizens Advice Tiara with 4,000, United Matamata Sports 6,000, Ngāti Tumitumi Trust 5,000, Tamiro Bike Club 7,000, Yoko Waiho Catchment Trust 20,000, Morrisville Art Gallery 30.
Sorry, the Piako White House.
That's pulled out. I've pulled 20
out of the other fund.
Yeah, so that's not part of, it's still part of.
She's chucked it out and added it in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should that be, while we're supporting it, should that be zero and part of that, this budget?
Yeah.
This
So
budget?
out of the natural built heritage, I've taken away 25. So there's 20 grand left in that. So 25 has gone into this one here. Okay, gotcha.
She's added the 25 in. That's what you've done, eh?
Yeah.
To what?
So it's negated it in this fund, is it? 25 has come in from another source to pay for that 25 going out.
Right, so sorry, so the minus 34, is that, so I'm not.
So I added the 25.
So if you add 25 to that, so it'll be 59.
It'll be 59.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There's your draft budget.
Let's try that.
That's what's remaining, and that's what's being fed it down because 625.
So, and the art gallery and then the Morrisville College 300, so that comes in at 625. So, but we haven't considered the Matamata eyesight.
So no, we've just put a figure in. We haven't.
Yeah.
Put a figure in next to
We can break all these.
Yeah, I think we should break.
Yes, please. Before we go to Monty though, just when we the items left on here to discuss are the eyesights, is that right? And we're
and tourism.
And
No, I don't think the gallery is.
No.
So
so there's the three eyesight, there's
Two
two
eyesights.
eyesights and the
What?
Hamilton Waikato tourism.
And so what's the final number? What are we up by?
over 600, below the 600.
So what's it?
Without adding in the eyesight extra cost.
Yeah.
We are increasing the budget.
Just wanted to understand what we're coming back to. So there's three items that we've still got some work to do on.
Adrian, to help me, I'd like to know the funding that we provide to supply the eyesight service at Tiara. What is that amount?
It was about 117.
yeah,
Without it's sort of running it, not R&M maintenance and stuff. But it's got other offices running out of it, that's the thing. Kevin's got his light on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're right. Okay, Sarah James.
Sorry,
Yes, but
Where is Piwaka funded from?
it's separate, yeah, the economic development budget. I think that with Te Waka, it might be one more, we fund that for one more year and see what happens. I don't know. It's, depends what level of heading. I don't know where it's heading. Yeah. So it's not huge, but we haven't included the increases to the eyesights that they've requested. And that's what service are we asking for? So we need the service level agreements and to pull out the Christmas parade and stuff like that.
Is it necessary?
Okay, any else?
Okay, so we're at the moment we're 34,450 over budget.
Over,
Because we're at 625 in our draft.
but there's the addition of the eyesights that has not been accounted for.
If we decided to fund them more than 125.
Correct, yeah, correct. Which I think is a kind of given.
So it's in our budget, 565, 750.
Yes, that's to hold.
So we're under.
Currently sitting at 624, 900.
625, but that's without the additional requests from the eyesights.
I'm not sure why we're only over by 34 grand.
Because we've cut out 7 grand from over 7 grand from the green,
Taking the
and the 9 from Waikato, Sport Waikato.
Oh, so we can add 25 to the 565, 750.
I've already added it.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the 34,000.
So the Waikato screen was from a different funding pool anyway.
Correct.
Yeah. And then what about,
And Sport Waikato's 9. There was a reduction there from 59 to 9.
but was the 9 from a different pool as well?
The Sport Waikato.
Yeah.
So at the last LTP, councillors agreed to give 50,000 for the regional coordinator plus 9,000. It all came out of the same fund.
Yeah, so there's 9,000 that we had to play with.
58.
Okay, we'll go and have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that's so that 50.
can we, and so, yeah.
You're over.
times.
Okay, welcome back everybody, and we just need to continue with discussion on our long-term plan grants. Just trying to gather some information and understand the impacts of our potential numbers here. So can I have a suggestion for the Matamata eyesight? Is it 135 now?
So my suggestion is 125,000.
Mine is 135 along the same lines as Morrinsville.
So can I have a show of hands, please, for 135 for Morrinsville and Matamata? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And a show of hands for 125 for Morrinsville and Matamata? 3. What are the other decisions then that people are not voting?
I would have said 125 for mine or 135 for me.
Same. So is there any negotiation on that? Those that said 135 for both?
Majority rules.
Majority has made a decision. Okay. That's right. Yeah, that's the thing. So again, I'm navigating a split view here, guys. So we've got to work our way through it.
Yeah.
So is there an appetite for holding at 125 when Morrinsville had shown in their accounts that they're running in a deficit at 125 and they've applied for 135? Are you still wanting to hold at 125? Show of hands. 4. Against? 125.
Yes, so staying at 135.
Yes, so we're talking 125 just to get this here. Right, so we've got 135 as a majority for Morrinsville. Now, for Matamata, are we looking at a differential between Morrinsville and Matamata, or are we going to go the same? So are we still going to sit at 135? Is there a majority for 135? Hands, show of hands, please. Yes, 2, 4, 6. That's the majority, so it's 135 and 135. Thank you. And we will have to talk about the service level agreements with our chambers to find a way forward. Okay, what else do we need to address? Oh, now Hamilton Waikato Tourism. They've applied for 150. And there was a feeling earlier of 125. Are we staying with 125? Can we have a show of hands?
25.
4, 5. And does anyone have an appetite for 150? Is everybody voting?
No.
Why not?
I would have gone further down. I would have gone down to 100.
Okay, so there's so 125 seems to be the majority, rightio, and that is conditional on the funding, on the decisions of other councils as well, and how that looks. And that brings us to a grand total of 645,200. So that is slightly over our budget by how much? 54,000. So there's a slight movement in the rates for that. Are you comfortable with that? We're proposing to hold and they're slightly increasing. I'm comfortable with that. So any further debate on that?
I just want some clarification though. So
Yep.
Does that total include the mayoral budget and the significant net feature and so that figure of 6? Yeah. Those other budgets underneath, is that included there?
No.
Because those would have gone down by a certain amount, right?
Yes.
So while the multi-year grant budget's gone up by about $55,000, the other grants included in the separate budget's gone down by 25.
Correct.
25. So we've got a $30,000.
Yeah, so Steph's already in her calculations. You'll see up in the draft budget, we've added the 25,000 to the end.
Yeah.
So this is 54,450 still over your current, including of significant natural features.
For year one.
So the fact that underneath it says other grants included in the separate budget.
It's separate. So it's 100. If you take the 45, drop it by 25, and it becomes 20, you're down to 115. So we've got 590,750 and 115. So the 25 is written in up there plus.
Yeah.
and taken off there.
So can I ask if we can to try and help that deficit is to reduce the single year community grant?
Unless there's people prepared to look at what we've decided.
I think it would be more prudent to be looking at some of the year grant, the multi-year grants.
It's the mural grant too. Like it's at the end of the day, we can prune the mural. Like at the moment, I have 10,000 to spend this year. I don't know that I've.
Yeah, maybe. Take it back to 10.
Take it. No. We could take. I had 10,000. This is because this has got events in it. So we could take the 10,000 that I had and reduce it to 5.
Do we need to decide that now? Like, because we've still got to have conversations from the feedback around what we've done with roading budgets and footpaths and things. I mean, there's still things that might impact what the.
Well, we're having an impact here now, and the risk of impact on the other stuff is probably more too. So we have to be quite ruthless now, I think.
Could we drop Sport Waikato down to 35?
Know that's an option.
Okay, can we go through some of these smaller ones? I know they're only small, but
like I'm happy to drop the mural fund to 5,000. I think that's prudent.
Morrinsville Art Gallery,
To what?
25, if not 20.
It's getting pretty tough though. And that is arts. Those are the arts.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we don't support, and that is
So
part
we are
of fostering the arts. They do classes and stuff there with the students and that. You know, if we're going to cut that, then we are affecting our arts.
Okay.
Creative Waikato.
The museums, Creative Waikato.
Creative Waikato. Not back to 5.
Back to 5.
I'm quite happy with it. I mean, the rate increase is what it is. If it's $54,000 extra, that's $1.50 per resident of Matamata-Piako. I'd like
For
to think.
now,
I'd like
This
to
is for
think
year
there's-
one. We haven't even.
I'd like to think there's value in that $1.50 from the increase in the grants, and to me, that's just how it is.
I think there's a compromise to be had here, and I think we do need to look harder at what we've done. I'm happy to drop the mural. I think we should drop the mural fund by 5,000. So that helps pay for one of the new grants that we've supported.
I think we should drop the single year community grants to 30, which is
Well, is what it used to. Sort of used to
I'd be
be.
happy with that too. Now that it's in a pot,
yes.
I'm happy with that.
So change that to 30. Is there a sharp hands appetite for that?
So that
That the single year grants get dropped to 30 or 40? Because technically we've got people that have been applying for have come into this grant.
So you're taking 5,000 off the mural.
Yes, that's 15. Yeah, so
15.
yeah, you haven't quite got that right yet. You need to put 10. You need to
calculation here, so this is one.
Yeah.
we're
and
adding
the
these
top one
to
needs
the
be 10,
top
that
number,
should
are
be
we?
10, not 30. 10,000. 10,000, not 1,000. Yes, that's it, and that adds. So we've then managed to pull back 15,000. Is there like I want to get as close to that hold as possible, to be honest. There are people that want the grants cut.
Why are we still 54?
We haven't done that yet, so we've reduced it. So we've taken off another 15, so that's.
It's something like that, yeah.
But Adrian, when you say there's people who want the grants cut, there's an awful lot of people who benefit from those grants.
They do. But they get, you have to remember that they can get grants from other places. We aren't the only point of funding.
So what have we done to now, Steve? I don't think we're going to.
39. So are you comfortable with everything else?
Could we take $2,500 off the Morrinsville Historical Society? We've agreed to 20 grand. We go to 17.5.
17.
Make them all 17.5?
No, Matamata's 12.
Oh, no, sorry. Yes. Sorry.
I think again we can't treat them all the same because they're all different.
Sorry.
And for the Morrinsville Museum, they stand alone a lot more than the Matamata and Tierra museums do. So I'd be loath to reduce the.
However, you've just done Morrinsville Matamata eyesight the same as
Yeah, but we're apples and pears. I'm looking at it individually as a historic society. In Morrinsville, they're in their own facility. They're not on council land. They stand alone. And I think the 20,000 that they're contributing to their, you're talking $2,500 on their wage for the work that they do and the relationships they've built. Yeah, I'd be loath to reduce that personally.
So what about the community patrols then? Because all three of them offer, well, not offer, but.
Well, I guess the other thing, sorry, Sarah Jane, is we've reduced it to 39,000. That is nothing now. We've made some cuts to try and compensate for the difference. Are you happy to live that we're holding a 560,000 budget, and we've added on a few more that we're popping up in this, and so are you happy with that compromise? I think we could go along here splitting hairs all day. So is any further conversation around it? Is someone happy to move? If there's no further conversation, is someone happy to move?
I still think we need to get down to the whole number.
Anyone else thinking the same? That we should get back to hold?
No.
But adding those ones that we took out of the things at the bottom.
Yep. So you want to see that 39,000 brought back to zero?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that show of hands? Is that what you want to do? Or are you prepared to, like 39,000 isn't significant on a rate?
I understand that, but then we haven't added the changes, possible changes to our other levels of service.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. I only had, if I perhaps could also add my thoughts similar to Sarah Jane's, is that this is like one part of this big cash flow piece that we're looking at. And so it's either we're like disciplined on everything, including this, or I mean, there's.
So you want to go back through?
I don't see that as a pointless exercise. I mean, the rate increase is 15.9%. Yeah. What does this 39,000 make it? 15.9 something?
0.122.
So, I mean, in my mind, everything costs 15% more collectively, and yet we're trying to provide these services for the same cost. I think 39,000 over 500 or something is much less than 15%. I think that's very reasonable.
But this is a really challenging situation to be in. There's no winners. So can I please have a show of hands? Are you happy to leave it with a $39,000 extra spend? Thank you. 1, 2, hands please, show of hands. We have the extra spend there. 2, 4, and against. So I think we have to accept now, this is the decision we're running with. Now, are you happy for the Matamata Chamber now to look at the next 2 years, because this is a long-term plan thing, it's a grant for 3 years. Are we just looking at the Matamata eyesight for 1 year, but then what do we put in as a possibility for the years coming? Or is that become an annual plan discussion?
We don't know until we've had a conversation.
Yeah, so do we leave that as a hold for annual plans? How does that work?
From a budgeting perspective, we would still need to pop something in there. And what I've worked with Alania on is a potential resolution for you if you would like to go down this path. So it would be council grants up to X. So this is particularly for your Hamilton Waikato tourism as an example, conditional on the other council contributions. Any funding not allocated in the current year would be ring fenced, and you could use it towards your grant allocation next year to ensure that we are not overrating our community. For the Matamata Chamber of Commerce, it would be a similar resolution. So council grants up to X, conditional on further discussions and agreement in future years. So we just want to capture those within our schedule, which is what you'll be adopting today. But as said before, if you would like to consider this in the context of your other LTP decisions, you could move some of those resolutions to being on the 22nd of May.
Yeah.
If you would like to.
So yeah, we don't have to vote on this today.
So we could change your recommendation if you would like to rediscuss it in light of all of the other decisions.
Yeah.
Or I can talk you through.
Is there an appetite for that? Hands up for an appetite for that?
For what? Sorry, for what?
22nd.
just what Sandy said. So around that, we're not making the decision. This is a deliberation that we've come to this point now, and it's pretty much set, but it's still open for some further information that gives us more certainty.
Will we get the information in the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
Well, some of it may not, but that's what we have to work with. So Jane,
Yeah, I mean, I like the resolutions that were drafted around the uncertainty for the tourism Waikato and for the eyesights. And I'm quite comfortable passing a resolution in line with that now.
Yeah.
If anything comes up, we can always modify that on the 22nd.
Yeah.
But at least we've got what we understand. Yeah,
At this point in time.
I'm based on the information ahead. I think that resolution is terrific. So I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to support that.
okay. So if you're happy to move that, James, which
Yeah.
Can we just
put it up?
Can we just hear those words again?
James, Steph can put them up.
Yes. So Steph can, so they go into your schedule of, so what you'll be adopting under your number 2 is your schedule of decisions, which is what Steph has been typing into.
Yeah.
So my suggestion into the comments field for Hamilton Waikato Tourism, and this was in conjunction with Lania to ensure that the rates are on side. Council grants up to 125,000 as per your discussion, conditional on other councils' contributions. Any funding not allocated will be ring fenced for next year's grant allocations. So you could at this stage grant up to 125,000. If, as an example, all of your other councils go, well, actually, we've cut to 50%. We've got our resolution saying it's up to 125,000, but we have the right to pull that back down should the other councils all go with 50%.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably not going to be quite that easy.
Yeah.
And then it means for LTP calculations, because we still have to budget this money, audits still arrive on site in June to assess what we've done. So we still need a figure for Lania's team to pop in there, but this will mean if all of the other councils go down to say 75,000, that additional 50,000 would still be sitting in our budget, but we will ring fence that for your following year. So your next year's annual plan will go down to ensure we're not rating too high.
Right.
And what did you say about the eyesight, Sandra? So
the draft for the eyesight is council grants up to 135,000 based on your discussion, conditional on further discussions and agreement. Any funding not allocated will be ring fenced for next year's grant allocation.
And then so here in the schedule, we're just populating year 2 and year 3 with the same figures that we put in for year 1.
Yes, and we're saying that that's conditional on discussions and agreements. So your agreement might be that year 2 it looks something different potentially, but it will take you a while to get to that decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm comfortable moving.
Okay, so you're comfortable moving 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Sorry, we do have a couple others there that have requested
Yes.
increases.
Yes.
Over there. So there's only one extra, I believe, is that right, Steph, which is the Te Araha Museum. So they've actually requested 18,500, then 19,200, then 20,000. So I just want to.
We want to hold.
Going 17 and a half.
No, we'll hold, hold it 17,250.
17,500.
What if the Waikato tourism one, if we're dropping them back, do you want to think about cap and pigeons, but CPI adjustment going forward for the next 2 years, just to show some sort of willingness to just, and given that we had a couple in the room too that wanted to stay at 150, just a thought.
I think we can make the decision.
There's still uncertainty at
And
this
the
point in
time comes,
time.
yeah. I'm happy to do it year on year kind of situation.
Well, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? This gives us a year-on-year opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've set the top point. Right?
So you've set the council grants up to
Okay.
125,000.
It's not capacity.
So it's not increasing. So how do we?
Just a thought. I mean, like, given that we've dropped it back 25, but there's still people, I just thought.
It's a variation that we have to go through if we were to increase it, isn't it?
You could possibly do that as part of your annual plan.
Yes.
Budget. Because I guess what we're doing here is giving these groups that message that we're going to keep funding you for this amount. But at your annual plan, you do reconfirm each of your budgets. Yeah. So there is that possibility. I guess
There is
giving them that information.
Yeah, because it's. I think the biggest thing is that we're facing so much uncertainty around some of these. Right. So we've got James has moved. James Sainsbury, a seconder. Thank you, Jane. Yes. The information, the information be received.
So do you want to on the 22nd or do you want to?
Yeah. So I don't know that we want to do 3 and 4 yet, do we? Oh no. Oh yeah. Sorry, beg your pardon. Yeah.
This is part of the schedule which I was just editing. Yeah. So do you want to review that again on the 22nd, or do you want to confirm it now? What we've just discussed.
No, not confirmed. We just got
Yeah.
a bit of negotiating to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might get some more information.
Yeah. Bit of tweaking, maybe, or something.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, we won't
change-
give a format.
Yeah, but I think you want to do 3 until after the.
Yeah, afterwards, yeah.
and then
That needs to be 3.
I could just change that. You just change that to the final,
Yes.
which we'll have on the 22nd.
The adoption in June, isn't it?
No, it'll be prior to July, that's when July the 1st.
Oh, big part, yeah.
So you it, and then we'll have the final one adopted.
So,
Yep.
so we don't even, do we need 3? Is it,
Well, it is part of the
Legal stuff.
for adoption. That is the formal part of the resolution, really.
So,
So it does need to be there, doesn't it? So that's 3.
so what I'm hearing is that you'd like us to, on your 22nd of May agenda, with your large LTP report, incorporate the table that we've gone through and reviewed today into that for your final approval on the 22nd.
Do you need to revisit it? That's the question.
So if
I think it gives us some comfort that if there's
Just a couple of
it's only if there's additional information comes forward.
so I can imagine I can imagine the process would be, this is what we worked through today. There's been no information that's come in which case it just goes straight through. We're not revisiting anything, or there's been this feedback from A, B, C, and D, in which case we review those particular line items.
Yes. So what we would do is in your large LTP report that you will be approving to go to audit.
Yeah.
We would add in this table.
Yeah.
So cutting it out of your spreadsheet with all of the exact wordings, we'd pop it into your LTP report, which would then cover your number 3 on the 22nd of May, because your 22nd of May will say submit this to audit. So you could just do recommendations number 1 and 2.
Yes.
Steph's got on the board, and number 3 will be covered on the 22nd of May.
Yes, that'll be fine. Perfect.
So just to clarify, please, so recommendation number 1, the information we receive is that we approve of the table above.
It's our submissions for and the deliberations that we've received all the information and we've considered, and that's where the decisions are made.
So where does our approval of the values in that table come into this resolution?
22nd of May. It's just a hold for now that we will be final. If there's no changes, then it will be ratified on the 22nd of May.
If further information comes through.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think we leave it like that, because if we're going to take out number 3, we will present it to you within your LTP report,
Yep.
either as is or with your further information, and you'll finalise it on the 22nd of May.
Thank you, Sandra. It's been and Steph, this has been a challenging situation when we're trying to be as prudent as we can. So with that, we've got moved.
Sorry, further clarification. If I wish to vote against this, I can't really do that, because it just says we're going to okay all of this on the 22nd of May, correct?
Further information. Yeah. Information is like. Okay, so move James Sainsbury, seconded Jane. That the information be received and council reviews the decisions on multi-year community grants, funding and the scheduled decisions on 22nd of May. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Carried, thank you. So like this has been, no. Right, we will now move on to the drafts, fees and charges. And, Olivia, thank you, Olivia. I think there were a few questions the other day about our dog fees. And we were sitting at 66%, I believe, of what you're getting your making way to the table. Just that was one of the questions. Was we were sitting at 66% recovery of the cost of dog fees. And by upping it to where it is, it will give us to 80. So that is the bottom, because our thing is 80 to 100, so we're still sitting at the bottom. We haven't been reaching that, so the ratepayer has been subsidising dog fees for some time. I just said, no, you can deal with that. That one's dealt with for you more afternoon.
Then the other, so was also an attachment to that report with the submissions that also had the staff comments attached to them. So obviously feel free to read through those. And then, yes, there were a handful of changes that came through during the consultation period. There were a handful of changes that came through during the submission period. Majority of them were just typos or like little things. So changing, for instance, the highridge of the court to make sure it says court, not room. It was just a copy error. There was one or two in there. One was the DVD collection highridge in the libraries. That collection has been retired. And so there was a request to change that to non-book items because the libraries can look into the future possibly around lending out things that aren't books, essentially. There aren't many non-book items as it stands, but it's just an option in the future that they can borrow those kinds of things and it goes under that highridge. But other than that, yes, those are the major changes that came through during consultation.
So the only other bit of feedback we have is just around the health watch with the alcohol fees, the fees that are set and how much they haven't been increased for a while. And there was the comment made by a submitter that came in online that we should be lobbying the Justice Department to review that because it hasn't been reviewed for quite some time. And so the gap is widening between the cost of doing special licenses and whatnot to the real cost to what the ratepayer is subsidising more. So I guess that's a separate conversation, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool.
And again, in the attachment, there is a comment from staff around.
Yes.
But
yeah, so it doesn't need to, but that would be it would be feedback around a long-term plan, and it is a fee, but I guess it's outside of this, so yeah, leave it at that. Are there any questions, queries for Olivia? Yes, Peter.
I just want to pick up on the discussion yesterday about kids in the swim and the charges to gain pool entry. I'm in a bit of thought, I think it'd be, not about us being nice, it'd be a gesture to allow free entry to pools for young people attending learn to swim classes.
So I guess the challenge there is when they are there, they have their swim in their lesson and then they hang around and swim for a bit longer.
Yeah, but they're still having their swimming lesson, aren't they?
Or is it a case of offering the lane fee? Like, I don't know, like we are double dipping. I think the biggest challenge we have now is that per swim, it's about $40. It's significantly subsidised. And how far does the ratepayer subsidise? We're not, yeah, I'm open to your
I guess
input, Peters. So you want, yeah, I think personally, I think it's really hard to do a free entry because kids come into pools. And are they going for a swimming lesson or are they just coming in for a swim?
Are we talking as 5s and 10s, all kids under 18?
Yeah, you start having to then have an age thing.
Yeah.
But I suppose I just remind us that we're currently commenced negotiations for the swim process, and I would have thought that process would be perhaps an appropriate way to approach how we charge for learn to swim activity, because at the moment, the way, as I explained yesterday, the way it's structured was a way of keeping the lane hire down, but still making some recovery by requiring participants to pay their entry fee. Now, to toss that on its head through the negotiations and they're suggested up the lane fee. So my own thought is that I don't think you're doing any harm at the moment by incorporating it. I mean, it applies to the end of this year anyway, this financial year. And you can waive that at any time, regardless. I would have thought that just gives us a chance to work our way through those discussions.
I thought it was interesting that Pyro's pool was $15. I don't know whether they were increasing that at all, but their lane fee was $15. I think that's what Jean.
It doesn't look like they've got any increase in their life.
I think you'll probably find 67 different lane
Yes.
fee charges across the
Correct.
country. It is a matter of pure opinion at the point in time that you decide what the fees are going to be. Without
And I guess the unknown, the thing that I don't know is what child X has to pay to Jan or anybody
Yes.
else providing the
Yeah.
swimming lessons.
Yeah, we've got no control over that.
So
So any further discussion on that? Are we
It's a tough one.
going to go with what we've proposed? As John said, there are ways of waiving it with
Well,
contracts.
I mean, fees and charges, you can review those at any time.
So sorry, is there any further discussion on draft fees and charges? Is everyone, if we go to the recommendation, I'll scroll it back up. So we've got a recommendation that the information.
I'm still opposed to the increase in burial fees.
So
As I was previously.
Okay, so we've got information with the potential information of
Died.
Council considers the submissions on the draft fees and charges for 24-25. Council confirms all decisions and these are incorporated in final fees and charges. The council adopts the fees and charges for 24-25 to reflect the above decisions and the minor amendments as attached in this report, as Olivia mentioned. And the fees and charges 24-25 will come into effect from the 1st of July 2024. And that staff be authorised to make minor proofing and grammatical changes prior to publishing fees and charges. And like we can review these. Well, they will be informed. Sorry, I didn't read them. I jumped a line. Obviously, council staff inform submitters of the decision. We do that. That needs to be included. Sorry, I jumped a line somehow. So, is someone happy to move all those in one go? Kayla moving. Thank you. And the seconder, Sharon. Thanks, Sharon. All those in favour? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you. And this has been a big piece of work. It's never easy. Right. So with that,
Thank you, Olivia.
we will now declare the meeting closed. Move on. Thank you.